Hey everyone, welcome back to Switch Top. Today, we're looking at 25 games on the Nintendo Switch that are absolute masterpieces, the kind of games that earn perfect scores and deserve every bit of praise they get. These aren't just good games, they're the ones that remind you why you love gaming in the first place. Let's get into it. Astral Chain is an action game from Platinum Games, where you play as a rookie cop in a futuristic city dealing with interdimensional threats. The hook here is that you control two characters at once yourself and a legion, which is basically a captured alien entity bound to you with a chain. Combat has you juggling both fighters simultaneously, positioning your legion to attack from different angles while you're slashing away with your sword. You can wrap enemies in the chain between you and your legion to stun them, or use different legion types for specific situations. One's great for ranged attacks, another for defense, and so on. Between missions, you're investigating crime scenes, talking to civilians, and solving cases like a detective. The story follows your character and twin sibling as you uncover a conspiracy about the dimensional rifts threatening humanity. The combat system takes time to master, but once it clicks, you're pulling off combos that look absolutely incredible. It runs smoothly on Switch and has this slick anime aesthetic that really stands out. Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 stand as near-perfect examples of how inventive design can redefine 3D platforming. Both games build on Mario's classic movement, but transform it through gravity-based mechanics that let him run across tiny planets, curve around spherical surfaces, and launch between galaxies with constant momentum. This approach turns every level into a compact playground where spatial awareness matters as much as timing, making exploration feel playful and rewarding. The first Galaxy leans heavily into atmosphere and discovery, pairing its elegant platforming with a cosmic sense of wonder, memorable music, and a surprisingly gentle emotional backdrop centered on Rosalina and the Lumas. Galaxy 2 takes that foundation and sharpens it, focusing on faster pacing, denser ideas, and constant mechanical variety, with additions like Yoshi's abilities pushing level design toward tighter, more skill-driven challenges. Neither game relies on heavy storytelling, yet their worlds, visuals, and flow communicate personality and charm effortlessly. Persona 5 Royal is a JRPG where you're a high school student by day and a supernatural thief by night. You and your friends discover you can enter a cognitive world where people's twisted desires manifest as palaces, and by stealing the treasure inside, you can change their corrupted hearts in reality. The game splits time between dungeon crawling in these palaces and living your daily life in Tokyo, going to school, hanging out with friends, working part-time jobs, and building relationships. Combat is turn-based, where you and your party use personas, which are manifestations of your inner self with different abilities and elemental attacks. Hitting enemy weaknesses gives you extra turns, and you can negotiate with demons to join you as new personas. The social simulation aspect has you managing your time carefully, since every activity takes up part of your day. Building relationships with confidants unlocks new abilities and deepens the story. The game tackles themes about societal corruption and adults abusing power without getting preachy. The art style is incredibly stylish, with this jazz-inspired soundtrack that fits perfectly. Monster Hunter Rise has you playing as a hunter in Kamara Village, defending it from monster stampedes called rampages, while taking on hunts to gather materials and craft better gear. The core loop is tracking down large monsters, fighting them in real-time combat that can last 15 to 30 minutes, then carving materials from them to upgrade your weapons and armor. Rise adds wire bugs, which let you zip around environments vertically, pull off aerial attacks, and use special silkbind moves unique to each weapon type. There are 14 weapon classes, ranging from fast dual blades to slow heavy hammers, each with completely different movesets and playstyles. You can bring 2 palamutes, rideable dogs, and palicos, cats, as companions who help in combat. The game has no real story to speak of. It's about the hunt itself and gradually taking down tougher monsters. Fights require learning monster patterns, preparing with the right items, and targeting weak points. The progression system has you constantly working toward the next armor set or weapon upgrade, and multiplayer lets you team up with friends for cooperative hunts. Celeste is a precision platformer about a girl named Madeline attempting to climb a mountain while dealing with anxiety and self-doubt. The mechanics are simple. You can jump, dash once in midair, and climb walls for limited stamina. Every screen is a single room challenge where you need to figure out the right sequence of moves to reach the exit without hitting spikes or falling into pits. Death is instant, but respawns are immediate, so you're constantly trying again until you nail the timing. The difficulty ramps up significantly as new mechanics get introduced, like moving platforms, dash crystals that restore your dash, and feathers that let you fly briefly. The story deals with Madeline's internal struggles, represented by a darker version of herself, and the mountain itself seems to manifest her fears and insecurities. There's an assist mode if you want to adjust the difficulty, but the game is designed around that tough but fair challenge. The pixel art is gorgeous, the music is incredible, and the way the gameplay reinforces the narrative themes about persistence and overcoming obstacles is really well done. Dragon Quest XI's is a traditional turn-based JRPG where you play as a young man who discovers he's the reincarnation of an ancient hero called the Luminary. Your quest is to gather a party of allies and stop an evil force threatening the world. But the story has some serious twists that completely change the stakes midway through. Combat is classic turn-based with a party of characters who each have distinct roles. Some are healers, others are damage dealers or tanks. You can also switch to a more dynamic camera during battles if you want. The definitive edition on Switch adds orchestral music, voice acting in English and Japanese, and a 16-bit mode that lets you play the entire game in a retro style. The world is massive, with tons of towns to visit, side quests to complete, and monsters to fight. There's a forge system where you can craft and upgrade equipment, and a skill tree for each character that lets you customize their abilities. The story takes around 80 to 100 hours and has some genuinely emotional moments. It's a game that respects classic JRPG design while adding modern quality-of-life features. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the definitive version of the racing game, packing in all DLC from the Wii U version, plus new content for a total of 48 tracks and 42 characters. Racing has you drifting around corners to build up boost, using items like shells and bananas to attack opponents, and taking advantage of the anti-gravity sections where you can bump into other racers for speed boosts. The roster includes characters from across Nintendo franchises, and the kart customization lets you mix and match bodies, wheels, and gliders that affect your stats. Battle mode returns with proper arenas and multiple game types like balloon battle and coin runners. The gameplay is incredibly balanced. Items are distributed based on your position, so races stay competitive, and the skill ceiling is high enough that better players will consistently win while still giving everyone a chance. It runs at 60 frames per second whether you're playing solo or in 4-player split screen, and online multiplayer supports up to 12 players. The track design is creative, with shortcuts, hazards, and routes that reward memorization and skill. Octopath Traveler 2 is a turn-based JRPG with 8 different protagonists, each with their own story, abilities, and starting location. You pick one character to start with, then recruit the others as you explore the world. Each character has a path action they can use in towns. The merchant can buy items from NPCs, the thief can steal, the warrior can challenge people to duels. Combat uses a break system, where enemies have shield points and weaknesses to certain weapon or magic types. Hitting weaknesses depletes their shields, and breaking them stuns the enemy and increases damage. You build up boost points each turn, which let you power up attacks, or use them multiple times in one action. The job system lets you equip secondary classes to characters, mixing abilities for unique builds. Stories range from a detective solving murders to a dancer seeking revenge. And while they start separate, there are connections between them. The HD 2D art style combines pixel sprites with 3D environments and lighting effects that look stunning. It's a lengthy game, with each character's story taking 20 to 30 hours, and there's tons of side content.
What's our plan of attack? My spear shall strike through!
My turn. You've been
Final Fantasy Tactics is a tactical RPG set in the kingdom of Ivalice, following Ramza Buelv as he gets caught up in a war between noble houses and uncovers a conspiracy involving the church and ancient powers. The story is politically complex, dealing with class warfare, religious corruption, and betrayal. It's one of the best narratives in gaming. Combat takes place on grid-based maps, where you position your units considering height advantages and terrain. Characters have job classes like Knight, Black Mage, and Archer, each with their own abilities and equipment. You earn job points in battle to unlock new classes and skills, which you can mix and match to create hybrid builds. Battles require planning, since abilities have charge times, positioning matters for area of effect spells, and permadeath is a real threat if you don't revive fallen units quickly. The War of the Lions version included here adds cutscenes, new characters, and quality of life improvements. There's also deep customization with equipment, abilities, and party composition. The difficulty can be punishing, but it's always fair, rewarding smart tactics over grinding.
I feel stronger.
Need it.
What the? You can count on me.
Super Mario Odyssey is a 3D platformer where Mario teams up with Cappy, a sentient hat, to stop Bowser from marrying Princess Peach. You travel between kingdoms in an airship collecting power moons, which fuel your journey. The capture mechanic is the game changer. Throwing Cappy lets you possess enemies and objects, controlling them and using their abilities. Capturing a bullet bill lets you fly, a T-Rex lets you smash through obstacles, and a Goomba lets you stack with others to reach high places. Each kingdom has a distinct theme, from a photorealistic city to a food-themed desert, and they're packed with moons to find, over 800 in total. Some moons are obvious, others require puzzle solving or platforming challenges, and many are hidden in creative spots. Mario's moveset is incredibly deep, with advanced techniques like dive jumps and cap bounces that let skilled players sequence break or find alternative solutions. The game works for all skill levels. Casual players can finish the story collecting enough moons to progress, while completionists have brutal post-game challenges. It controls perfectly, looks gorgeous, and the level design is phenomenal throughout. NieR Automata throws you into a post-apocalyptic Earth where humanity has fled to the moon and sent combat androids 2B and 9S to fight back against the machine lifeforms that took over. The hack-and-slash combat from Platinum Games feels incredible, mixing fast combos with bullet hell shooting sections and even some top-down segments that keep things fresh. You can equip different weapon combinations and plug in chips to customize your playstyle, from pure melee damage to ranged builds. The story starts straightforward, but gets wild. You'll play through multiple perspectives that completely reframe everything you thought you understood. Without spoiling it, this game requires multiple playthroughs, but each one reveals new story layers and changes gameplay perspectives. The soundtrack is hauntingly beautiful, and the Switch version runs smoothly in both docked and handheld. Fair warning though, the true ending requires completing all major routes, but trust me, it's worth every minute to experience one of the most thought-provoking stories in gaming.
to help 9S. I have to repair him. Pod, get me.
Hades puts you in control of Zagreus, son of Hades, as he repeatedly tries to escape the underworld to find his mother and uncover family secrets. Each run through the underworld's chambers is different thanks to procedurally generated layouts and random god boon drops that modify your abilities. You start each escape attempt by choosing one of 6 weapons. Each feels completely different, from the quick twin fists to the long-range bow. During runs, Olympian gods offer boons that stack in interesting ways, like Zeus adding chain lightning to your attacks, or Dionysus applying hangover damage over time. The genius here is that death isn't failure, it's story progression. Every time you die and return to the House of Hades, you unlock new dialogue, build relationships with a massive cast of characters, and spend collected resources on permanent upgrades. The combat is fast and fluid, requiring you to dash constantly while managing your limited health and choosing which gods to favor. Even after beating the final boss, there's tons more story to unlock and higher difficulty modifiers to test your skills. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door brings back the beloved GameCube classic with gorgeous updated visuals while keeping everything that made it special intact. Mario searches for the Crystal Stars and Princess Peach while exploring the town of Rogueport and the areas beyond, meeting a colorful cast of partners who join his party. The turn-based combat uses timed button presses to boost your attacks and reduce damage, so you're always engaged, even in random battles. Each partner has unique abilities, both in combat and for solving environmental puzzles. Koops can hit distant switches, Vivian lets you hide in shadows, and Yoshi can cross gaps. The badge system lets you customize Mario's abilities extensively, choosing between health boosts, attack power, or special moves depending on your style. The writing is genuinely funny, with great character moments and some surprisingly emotional beats. Exploration rewards curiosity with hidden blocks, secret areas, and optional challenges. The paper aesthetic is used cleverly in puzzles, where you fold into a paper airplane or roll into a tube. This remaster respects the original while making quality of life improvements that modern players expect. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition delivers one of the most ambitious RPG experiences available on a Nintendo system, blending first-person action, deep role-playing systems, and a heavy narrative focus inside the sprawling neon sprawl of Night City. You play as V, a mercenary whose build is shaped by your choices, whether you lean into gunplay, stealth, hacking, or a hybrid style enhanced by cyberware that fundamentally alters how combat and exploration feel. Encounters are flexible and reactive, encouraging experimentation as missions often support multiple solutions rather than a single correct path. The open world itself is dense and atmospheric, packed with side stories that rival the main quest in emotional impact, exploring themes of identity, power, and survival in a society driven by technology and excess. Storytelling relies less on exposition and more on character interactions, consequences, and world design, making your decisions feel personal and lasting. Ultimate Edition ties everything together into a cohesive journey, where gameplay freedom, narrative depth, and mechanical complexity reinforce each other.
Scavs are still crawling. Clean it up, clean it out. Don't want to be bringing the target out under fire, and definitely don't want to slug in your back.
Not neither.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 takes place in Ionios, a world where 2 nations, Keves and Agnes, are locked in endless war, and soldiers only live for 10 years before their energy is returned to their homecoming ceremony. You control 6 characters, 3 from each nation, who team up after discovering their world isn't what they've been told. The real-time combat has you controlling one character, while AI handles the others, but you can switch between them freely. You build up combos by positioning correctly and timing your arts, which are skills with cooldowns. The class system is deep. Characters can learn classes from each other, gaining new arts and skills. Ouroboros transformations let pairs of characters fuse into powerful forms with unique movesets for limited times. The world is absolutely massive, with distinct regions, tons of side quests that develop characters, and exploration that rewards you with experience and loot. The story tackles heavy themes about purpose, mortality, and breaking cycles, with voice acting that brings the huge cast to life. Expect over 100 hours if you engage with the side content, and the performance is solid considering the scope. Absolum stands out as a refined fusion of classic side-scrolling beat-em-up action and modern roguelite structure, delivering fast, satisfying combat built around precise timing, positioning, and expressive combo systems. Encounters revolve around chaining light and heavy attacks, dodges, and counters, with enemies designed to push players toward mastery rather than button mashing. Each run introduces new strategic layers through rituals and modifiers that reshape abilities, elemental effects, and playstyle, ensuring no two sessions feel identical. Progression is driven by both skill and long-term unlocks, gradually expanding your options and encouraging experimentation. The roster of heroes is deliberately varied, with each character offering a distinct rhythm and tactical approach that supports both solo play and cooperative runs. Visually, the hand-drawn fantasy world feels vibrant and alive, reinforcing the impact of every hit while giving the journey a strong sense of identity. Story elements remain understated, focusing on the struggle against oppressive forces and the restoration of balance, allowing gameplay to take center stage while still grounding the action in a coherent, immersive setting. Fire Emblem Three Houses puts you in the role of a mercenary who becomes a professor at the prestigious Garrigmach Monastery, where you choose to lead one of 3 houses of students. The tactical battles have you positioning units on grid-based maps, exploiting the weapon triangle and terrain advantages. Each unit can be trained in different skills and classes, letting you customize your army however you want. Turn a mage into a knight or a fighter into a healer. Between battles, you explore the monastery, build relationships with students and faculty through conversations and shared meals, and choose how to spend your limited time each month. The relationship system directly impacts combat, with support bonuses when units fight near each other. The game's structure has you teaching students for the first half, then a time skip happens and the story goes in dramatically different directions based on which house you chose. Each route offers 40 to 50 hours of content with unique perspectives on the continent's brewing conflict. The story deals with war, morality, and how different viewpoints can justify the same conflict. Combat is challenging on higher difficulties, but accessible for newcomers on normal.
Luck wasn't with you.
Saw that coming.
Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake brings the classic RPGs that started it all back with stunning pixel art layered over 3D environments. In Dragon Quest I, you're the descendant of the legendary hero Erdrick, tasked with rescuing Princess Gora and defeating the Dragon Lord threatening the kingdom of Alefgard. Dragon Quest II expands the scope with 3 princes of Midenhall who must unite to stop the wizard Hargon. The turn-based combat is streamlined and accessible. You select commands from menus, manage MP for spells, and grind levels to overcome tougher areas. The remakes add quality-of-life features like quest markers, faster battle animations, and autosave while keeping the core experience intact. Exploration is key as you discover new towns, gather clues from NPCs about where to go next, and find hidden treasures. The HD 2D visual style is gorgeous, using lighting and depth of field effects to make classic sprites feel modern. Dragon Quest I is a shorter, more straightforward adventure, about 10 hours, while 2 opens up with a party system and larger world. These games show where JRPG conventions started, and experiencing them with modern polish helps you appreciate how far the genre has come. Metroid Prime Remastered brings the GameCube masterpiece to Switch, with completely redone visuals running at 60 frames per second and modernized controls that feel perfect. You play as Samus Aran, investigating a distress signal on planet Talon 4, where you discover the space pirates are experimenting with a mutagenic substance called Phazon. The first-person exploration and combat feels unique. It's not a traditional shooter, but more about scanning environments, solving puzzles, and carefully managing limited resources. As you explore the interconnected world, you gain upgrades like the Morph Ball, missiles, and various beam weapons that open up new areas in classic Metroidvania fashion. Backtracking never feels tedious, because new abilities let you traverse old areas in different ways and discover secrets you missed. Combat encounters require switching between different beams to exploit enemy weaknesses, and using your scan visor to learn patterns. The atmosphere is incredible. You're alone on an alien planet with environmental storytelling told through scans and the remains of ancient Chozo civilization. Boss fights are memorable tests of pattern recognition and resource management. Hollow Knight drops you into Hallownest, a fallen kingdom of bugs deep underground, where you play as a small, silent knight, exploring vast, interconnected areas filled with secrets and challenges. The 2D, exploration and combat feels incredibly tight. You start with a simple nail slash, but gain spells and movement abilities that transform how you navigate the world. The soul system ties combat to healing, since you generate soul by hitting enemies and spend it to either heal or cast powerful spells. You unlock new abilities like dashing, wall climbing, and double jumping that open up previously inaccessible areas, encouraging exploration. The charm system lets you customize your build with over 40 charms that modify everything from damage output to health and mobility. Combat is challenging but fair, with enemy patterns that you learn through experience and boss fights that test your skill and persistence. The world is massive, with distinct areas, each with unique aesthetics, enemies, and lore told through environmental details and sparse NPC dialogue. The art style is hauntingly beautiful, with hand-drawn animation, and the orchestral soundtrack perfectly captures the melancholic atmosphere. Tears of the Kingdom picks up after Breath of the Wild, with Link and Zelda discovering an ancient evil beneath Hyrule Castle. When they accidentally release Ganondorf, Hyrule Castle rises into the sky, and the land is transformed, with floating islands above and a massive underground area below. Link loses his abilities and gains new powers that completely change how you interact with the world. Ultra Hand lets you grab and fuse objects together to build vehicles, bridges, and contraptions. Fuse allows you to combine weapons and materials to create custom equipment with different properties. Ascend lets you phase through ceilings to reach higher areas, and Recall reverses the movement of objects through time. These abilities create insane freedom in how you solve puzzles and approach combat. You can build flying machines, attach rockets to shields for aerial attacks, or fuse enemy parts to weapons for unique effects. The world is 3 layers now: Sky Islands with physics puzzles, the familiar surface with new caves and wells to explore, and the depths, which is a dark underground mirror of the overworld filled with powerful enemies. The weapon durability system returns, but Fuse makes it more interesting since you're constantly experimenting with combinations. Hollow Knight Silksong is the sequel where you play as Hornet, a character from the first game who's been captured and taken to a new kingdom called Farloom. Unlike the knight from the original, Hornet is faster and more aggressive, with different movement and combat mechanics. She uses a needle and thread for attacks instead of a nail, with a focus on speed and aerial combat. The thread can be used to bind enemies temporarily, set traps, and perform special techniques. Movement is more acrobatic, with abilities like wall running and a unique dash system that feels distinct from the first game's movement. The bind system replaces the charm system, letting you equip different tools that modify Hornet's abilities and playstyle. Farloom is described as an ascent rather than a descent, so you're climbing upward through the kingdom instead of going deeper underground. The world has new biomes with different themes and enemy types, along with a cast of new characters to meet and interact with. Boss fights are designed around Hornet's faster, more offensive playstyle. The art maintains the hand-drawn aesthetic of the original with new visual themes, and the soundtrack features new compositions. Hades 2 has you playing as Melinoe, the princess of the underworld, and sister to Zagreus from the first game. Instead of escaping the underworld, you're fighting your way up from the surface to assault Olympus itself. Melinoe was raised by Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, so her abilities are magic-focused rather than the melee combat of the original. She uses weapons like witches' staffs and ritual daggers, with casting animations and spell mechanics that feel different from Zagreus' fighting style. The boon system returns, with gods offering power-ups, but there are new Olympians to meet and new synergies to discover. Time manipulation plays a bigger role in combat, with abilities that slow enemies or speed up Melinoe. The meta progression happens in a new hub area, where you can plant and harvest magical ingredients for crafting permanent upgrades. There's a new card system for additional customization beyond the standard mirror upgrades. Runs take you through different areas than the first game, with new enemy types and bosses. The relationship system is expanded, with more characters to befriend and romance options. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is widely regarded as one of Nintendo's most transformative games, redefining open-world design through player freedom, systemic mechanics, and environmental storytelling. Gameplay is built around a physics-driven world where nearly every element interacts naturally. Fire spreads through grass, metal conducts electricity, wind affects movement, and weather conditions directly influence combat and exploration. Instead of rigid progression, players are encouraged to experiment, climb almost any surface, cook meals for survival bonuses, and solve shrines and puzzles using creativity rather than prescribed solutions. Combat emphasizes preparation and adaptability, with weapon durability, elemental effects, and enemy behaviors pushing players to think strategically rather than rely on raw power. The world of Hyrule feels alive and coherent, rewarding curiosity with hidden stories, ruins, and emergent moments that often feel personal. Narratively, the game takes a minimalist approach, focusing on memory fragments that gradually reveal Link's past and the tragedy surrounding Princess Zelda and the fall of Hyrule. Donkey Kong Bananza delivers a bold take on 3D platforming by turning environmental interaction into the heart of its gameplay. Instead of treating the world as a static backdrop, the game encourages constant experimentation, letting Donkey Kong punch, roll, climb, and smash through layered underground environments where nearly every surface can be destroyed or reshaped. This creates a strong sense of freedom, as exploration, combat, and puzzle solving are all driven by how creatively you manipulate the terrain. Each biome introduces new traversal challenges and secrets, while collecting Banandium gems feeds into meaningful upgrades and new abilities that steadily expand DK's moveset. Transformations and power-ups add further variety, giving fresh ways to approach both platforming and combat. Pauline plays an important role alongside DK, contributing both mechanically through supportive abilities and narratively through their growing partnership during the adventure. The story remains lighthearted but purposeful, focusing on discovery, teamwork, and pushing deeper into the unknown. Those are 25 games on Switch that truly earn perfect scores. Each one excels in different ways, but they all deliver experiences you won't forget. Let me know in the comments which of these you've played and what your favorite is. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe for more Switch content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.